Hi, and thank you for watching this video. What I'm hoping to do for the next few minutes that we spend together is share with you a few experiences that I had while dealing with PTSD that seems to have made things a lot less stressful, or at least more in alignment with me having a life that I can enjoy. That's it. That's honestly all I wanted to do, was to give you my thoughts and prayers. And not only that, but to reach out and just share some things with you in hopes that you could see something from yourself, because there's a few things I know about you that I want to share. One, about your resilience, and two, your commitment to getting better, because you were able to say, I need help. First, I just want to say I love you. I know I love you because you're one of my brothers or sisters who volunteered to make an oath to protect our countries from enemies foreign and domestic. And so with that, I give you my heart, and I'm giving of you my time and the things that I've learned in hopes that it help you cope or deal or even lessen the effects that you're having with your PTSD. I brought my I brought my book for some notes to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I believe this to be a very important topic. Before I get into my background, I want you to kind of find a quiet area so you can really hear me. If you want, you can close your eyes, you can sit still, but I'm really not asking that you pay attention to the words that I say. What I'm asking you to do is try to feel exactly what I am telling you, in hopes that you can connect to that and we can ride you to a safer place. A little bit about my background and how I came about suffering from PTSD. So it initially started as I was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, inner city kid, just like any other inner city kid, exposed to a lot of violence, a lot of drugs, and a lot of gang activity. I was blessed with an opportunity to join the Air Force in 1996, and served for 21 years. And through deployments, through my job as a security forces member, and then on into a protection agent for four-star generals and admirals, I encountered some things that really made it difficult for me to, one, sleep at night. It also caused me to withdraw heavily. I went through a divorce. I went through a real bad bout with substance abuse, and it just really was very dark. I kind of understand a little bit about the space in which you're in. And I make no attempt to make anyone believe that I'm a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a therapist, or anything like that. I'm just a guy who suffered from it and has found a way to minimize my suffering. That's it. That's it. I'm not special. I'm not, here to beat my chest or to stand on any podium and look down at you. This is in no way intended to make you feel any worse. And if at any point during this that you do, stop the video. Stop the video. But if you could hear my words and understand that I am locking arms with you, like we understand, it's what we've been taught, it's what we've been trained. I got you like you got me. 2017, I retired. And man, it was nowhere near what I thought it would be. I mean, it was very turbulent. I really had and I'll use the term, hatred toward the military and everything it stood for, even though it gave me an abundant life. One, I really thought that I couldn't be helped. All right. And I drowned a lot of those beliefs in the bottle and with other substances. Number two, I didn't think it was possible to heal. I thought I would suffer or be in suffering for the rest of my life. Number three, I really didn't have a clear picture of who I was. I had for so many years tried to place the value on something I had no idea what its identity was. And that created a large gap. And so that over the next few minutes, that's just what I'm going to do for you. Try to clarify all of those things in hopes that you can hear something that helps you. Miles Monroe is a famous pastor, and he said once, this quote, and it stuck with me for years. He said, if you don't understand the purpose of something, abuse is inevitable. I really used to use my thinking to beat myself over the head. And then I learned that there was a much better way that I can use this creative power in which I had. Sometimes we don't truly understand the purpose of something, and that opens us up for a whole lot of suffering or abuse. How that relates to the topic in which we're talking about, right? stories, the stories of our lives. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I was born in the inner city. So a lot of gang violence, a lot of drugs. And for a long time, I thought that story of being from the hood meant or capped what I was capable of in my life. And now I know, hindsight, I didn't know it then. Hindsight is that's not true. My story of growing up from the hood was nothing more than showing me my starting point was going to be different than others. That's it. And once I kind of allowed myself to sit with that for a while, I began to achieve or experience more. But it was not putting a cap on what was possible in my life. Sometimes our life stories get misused. They get used to abuse us. They get used to beat ourselves over the head. And I personally don't think that's the intent of them. Because if you're listening to me right now, the truth is you've made it. You have physically removed yourself from harm's way through your wise choices on whatever you did on that battlefield to stay alive. You are here now. Touch your couch, touch your chair, touch whatever you're sitting on. Remember, today you made it. You made it. And if you get nothing else from me, I want you to know that you can get to a point in your life where that story of what you've been through, Mr. or Mrs. Hero, Mr. or Mrs. stood up and took the oath voluntarily to protect. What I want you to get from this is that story is one that simply identifies how fucking resilient you are. It identifies you as one of the most resilient human beings in this world. This is why we're small in numbers. Everybody can't handle it. It's why they don't try. But you did. And if you're listening to me now, you made it. And I'm not in any way trying to minimize, my friend, what we've been through. It's not normal to see people die. It's not normal to see things, craters and holes of buildings that were there just 8 hours ago. That's not normal. I get it. My God, do I get it. But if you're here now, the story is how resilient you were, how wise you were to figure out a way to be in this moment. I want to thank you for reaching out, because that's your wisdom too. I want to thank you because it's not how we were trained. And my whole premise of everything I'm talking about now is trying to shift what we've been taught is the way, because it's not. I basically lived the first 40 years of my life with an outside in perspective of life, meaning that my moods, my feelings, my ups, my downs were all predicated on how things outside of my control went, the external inside. And it was awakening to those three principles that I talked about: mind, thought, consciousness, and gaining awareness that there was an ability for me to live inside out. And what I mean by that was slowing down my thoughts enough to get before them, to see that they were not me. I am not my thoughts. Now, if I fixate on something, I'll feel a mood for a particular time, but that passes, because moods flow, they change, they're fluid, they're just like energy. So I was awakened to the fact that if I just slowed down enough and put a few things in place to help myself until I could see clearly how to navigate through it, it made my life much, much easier. A few other things that I learned was that my intelligence or my intellect was not going to heal my soul. If I knew the answers then, the pain I was in, I would have applied them instantly. But the truth is, I didn't know. And because of that, I suffered. immensely because I wasn't willing to learn or to open myself up because I was so scared of the unknown. I was so scared of what I did know. And I spent probably about 3 years, man. I spent about 3 years trying to unlearn a lot of bad shit that I had in my head about how my experience is supposed to be. So that's why I know you're not broken. Now, from understanding you're not broken, that kind of opens up a whole new arena, a whole new ballpark to play in, and understanding that you're whole. Now, maybe your whole requires you to speak to someone, then do that. Maybe your whole requires you to take medication for a while, then do that. But never, ever from this point on, if you can, walk around believing you're not whole. Walk around believing you're broken because that's not true.